Hey folks, sunny in the south. Hope everybody doing real good. It's a little cool out this morning. It's definitely time for some comfort food, and I got a good one on the menu this evening. We're going to be whooping up some Cajun style meatballs. We're going to cook them up in a manner to where they end up very nice and tender, packed full of flavor. They're going to be smothered in an outstanding onion gravy. I'm not going to go through all the ingredients here because you can omit, mix and match, and do things how you want to see fit. But for the meatballs, you're going to need 2 pounds of 80-20 ground beef, a couple of cloves of garlic. You're going to need a bell pepper that's finely diced, as well as a small onion finely diced. Going to need a whooped up egg or two and some breadcrumbs. That gets them meatballs put together. We'll get them formed up, get them in the fridge while we whoop up this gravy. We're going to actually cook those completely in the gravy. We'll go through the ingredients and some processes and techniques while we're whooping this gravy up. Let's get to cooking. I'm going to go in here and just kind of bust this up against the grind grains. We're going to get this onion in here, bell pepper, and fine dice on this bell pepper and onion. Get us some garlic in here. 4 cloves pressed garlic. I got about 1/4 cup of hot water. And we're going to go in with about 2 teaspoons of beef base. And we're going to get this mixed up here real good. We'll put just a little bit more water in now. Do about 1/3 cup. Got 2 small eggs whooped up right there. We're going to get that in. Some unsalted Cajun seasoning. We'll do about 2½ teaspoons to a tablespoon of that. Get a little black pepper in. We're going to get some breadcrumbs in here. We'll start out, do about 1/4 cup. Now you got to get in here and get your hands in it. And what we're looking to do here is get everything mixed up, obviously, but the breadcrumbs are going to soak up that concentrated beef broth we put in there. It's going to give this meat a really good flavor. We got that together pretty good. Let's check and see if it's going to stay together. I'm going to make these into about golf ball size meatballs. We're going to do a drop test. Stay together pretty good. So we're going to ball this up. Set it over here on the side. And then I'll put them back in this bowl and then go in the refrigerator until we're ready to cook them. Meatballs look pretty good. We're going to get them in the fridge. We're going to get started on this gravy. Let's get us about 3 tablespoons of butter in there. A little bit of olive oil. We're going to get these onions in. And we're going to get these started on about a medium to medium-high heat. Once they get soft and start wilting, I'll drop this heat. We want to get these pretty caramelized. And we'll get some salt and sugar in here to help the caramelizing process here just as soon as those wilt a little bit. Alright, those softened up there a little bit. Some water starting to come out of them. Gonna get us a little salt in. Get some sugar in here. Do about 2 teaspoons. We just want to get these caramelized up a little bit here. We're not trying to cook these down to like you would do for a French onion soup, but we just want some good color on them. Sweeten up real nice. Make this gravy extra good. These have been going about 5 minutes. You can see they're starting to get a little golden. You just want to make sure you keep these tossed around quite a bit so you don't end up with any scorch or burnt places on these onions. Alright, these have been going about 20 minutes, and they got some nice little brown color on them. Sweetened up pretty good. I'm going to get a little bit more olive oil right here in the middle of this pot. And we're going to sprinkle some flour in here. That's about 2.5–3 tablespoons of flour. I'm just going to let that cook there a minute or two, get that raw edge off. Alright, that's been going there a minute or two. We'll go in with a little bit of red wine. And it's going to thicken up real good with that flour. Let's get us a little splash of balsamic vinegar. We're just going to let that cook there a minute. Let that alcohol burn off. It's just going to add a little bit of richness and body to this gravy. That wouldn't more than a couple of tablespoons of red wine and maybe a teaspoon or 2 of balsamic. We're going to go in with beef broth. Got about a cup in there. I'm going to let this come up and temper out so we don't end up with any lumps from that roux. Oh, onion gravy smelling pretty good already, that's for sure. It's about another cup of unsalted beef stock in. Get some Worcestershire in here. About a tablespoon. Soy sauce. About a teaspoon and a half. We're going to get some salted Cajun seasoning in. Do about 3 teaspoons for now. Get a little black pepper in there. Put some pepper on it. A little bit of thyme. I'm going to do about a 1/2 to 3/4 teaspoon of thyme. We're going to get a little sage in there, ground sage. We'll do about a 1/2 to 3/4 teaspoon of that. Got a little bit of this browning sauce we're going to go in. About 3/4 to 1 teaspoon of that. We're going to let this come up to a good little simmer. I got that simmering there pretty good. And we want this to be fairly thin at this point because we're going to simmer these meatballs in here. And then at the end, we'll thicken this up with some cornstarch slurry to make us a good gravy. But I want to go ahead and give this a taste before I get the meat in there. Get this straightened out. Needs salt, that's for sure. A little more Worcestershire. See what that did. That woke it up. It's pretty good. Give this another taste. Oh yeah. get these meatballs in here. And I'm going to turn this fire down to a low, medium low. Because I don't want these meatballs scorching on the bottom of this pot. But you're not going to be able to stir them or anything while they're cooking. They'll fall apart. We're going to get a lid on here and we're going to let these basically steep in that hot gravy for about an hour. And it's not even going to start simmering probably for 30 to 40 minutes because I got the fire turned way back and the cold meatballs have really dropped the temperature of that gravy. And we'll check them with a temp probe also. See y'all back shortly. I've been going just about 45 minutes. And I tell you what, it is smelling good in here. Once this beef got in this gravy, I think it changed the game. It looks like they're pretty well cooked through. Get one of them to see what they're doing inside. Nice and tender. 185, so it is definitely done. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to turn this fire up. Get this bubbling, and we're going to get us some starch in there. I got about 2 tablespoons of cornstarch mixed up with about a half a cup of beef broth, and I'm just going to add some at a time until I get this thickened up the way I want it. Bubbling meatballs and an onion gravy. Ooh, gonna be a good dinner. You know, we could have just made this thick with the flour roux, but then you end up possibly scorching your gravy and meatballs on the bottom of the pot because the liquid is so thick. So you got to kind of basically poach these meatballs in a thinner liquid and then thicken after the fact. Just a little bit more. I'll put the rest of it in there. That'll do it. We're going to serve this on a bed of mashed taters. But I tell you what, it goes real good on rice. And when we made them meatballs, I used the unsalted Cajun seasoning because I put that beef base in there just to up that beef flavor. If you don't have beef base or don't want to use it, you can use a salted Cajun seasoning. But if you use both, you're probably going to be a little too salty. Let's see what this is talking about. That is darn good. Man, that little sweet onion flavor's coming through real nice. Got just a hint of spice, a little herb in the background. I can even taste a little bit of that bell pepper that's coming out of them meatballs. It is going to need a little bit more salt. I'm going to cut this fire back. Cut that fire back to warm. Put that lid back on there that we're ready to plate up. Let's get some dinner plated. We're going to get us a big old pile of cream taters. Sprinkle a little chive on these taters. Meatballs and onion gravy going here. We're going to need some corn, some of that good old sweet corn, and some rolls. Now that right there is a meal. I'm gonna get me some of these taters and gravy first. My goodness. Look how tender that meatball is right yonder. Oh, delish. Outstanding. Extra good. And you know, if you don't use all that gravy with the meatballs, don't toss it. Put that right there in some Tupperware and put it in the freezer. And then anytime you got something that you want a nice beefy onion gravy for, you got it. That's it, folks. Some old Cajun style meatballs with an outstanding onion gravy. Till next time, peace.